Jeanne Atherden, leader of the One Bermuda Alliance. Thank you very much for your time today. The PLP has had a year in power. How do you think they have performed so far?
I believe that they have implemented many of the things that the OBA had started, and now they are getting onto their own programs. But some of the programs that they're getting onto, I think, are causing some concerns with respect to whether they're being rushed, how they're going to be implemented, and I think the people of Bermuda are just trying to wonder what does it mean. And I say that because right now you've seen in the last couple months increases in costs. You've seen things that they have given things on the one hand, like being given increases in pension, but at the same time, all of a sudden you see that the pension contributions are going up. You see there's a sugar tax. And so there are some things that I think the people of Bermuda are sort of thinking, okay, promises made, but what does that mean to me? And I think some of them are just worried.
Do you think then that's how the people of Bermuda are receiving the Progressive Labour Party government at the moment? They're worried, they're questioning, or do they have faith in the government?
I think like everybody after an election, I think they're looking and they say it's 1 year down the road. They just want to see some more. The government talks about transparency. They want to see some more clarity on the things that are taking place, and they want some clarity on why are you doing this? Why are you doing this now? What does it mean to me? And they don't know enough about what it means. And I would use the jobs as an example. The government, they promised many jobs, and you've seen lots of MOUs and other things talking about this is going to happen and these are the jobs that have been created. But you haven't been able to see a job yet, or a clear indication as to when a job will come, which will impact on a Bermudian, and I think that that's important.
In which areas do you think the government has really achieved or accomplished any objectives, or where do you think they have failed to deliver?
Well, I mean, there are some things that we'd started, obviously, with respect to the health care. There was the start in terms of health care costs, but then there's been this reversal where now the government is coming and is increasing the cost of health, so that that's something which I think is worrisome. There's an indication that in some of the other areas with respect to some of the legislation, when I'm thinking about some of the bills that were in place, there were one or two of them where we had started and they've now been implemented, but some others where I'm just trying to remember, not like the land title registration. There are things like that which it's something which will be good, but there will be issues in terms of how it's implemented. And so I think that the bottom line is it's not just coming up and saying something that this is okay. It's about how it actually takes effect. And I think that with respect to some of those things, the legislation is being rushed. I'm thinking about the 60-40 rule, or the reversal of that, or the changing of it. Okay, that's something which has been put together because it should encourage investment to come into Bermuda. Everybody wants to see investment coming into Bermuda, but they want to see it in resulting in more jobs. They want to see it, in fact, resulting in Bermudian businesses not being impacted in a negative way. You talk about the suggestion of the bank, and when we were talking earlier, the bank reminds me of the whole thing of gaming. There was the suggestion that where are we in terms of the gaming? How are you going to implement gaming in October when you don't have a gaming commissioner yet, when you don't know how the proceeds of gaming are going to be banked? Those are some of the things which I think you have things that people are worried about.
Sure. And how do you feel the OBA has performed as an opposition party over the past 12 months?
Well, we obviously had to look inward in terms of what do we need to do to be the government in waiting, and that results in in us determining how we are going to continue to deal with the electorate, to talk to them about things that are important to them. We've been trying to make sure that with having shadow ministers, that the shadow ministers understand their portfolios, and then trying to ensure that we put the protocols in place to make sure that the party and the MPs are out there, if you will, working together to talk to the people of Bermuda about issues that are important to them. So that I think that we're clear on our values. We're clear on the fact that to go forward and to be the government in waiting and the viable opposition, that we are going to ensure that the individuals that we have there represent OBA, because there's no BDA or UBP anymore. It really is one Bermuda, and therefore, if you will, the alliance is more between the future Bermuda and the one Bermuda, and that will resonate because we know our values, we know what's important to us, we know what's important to the electorate, and therefore we're getting out there, we're talking to them. We are now speaking up in the House. We have a communications plan that will address these issues.
Once again, Jeanne Atherden, thank you very much for your time today.